101. What you want to do, first thing you want to do is establish where you want your shelf to go. There's two shelves, set them anywhere you want to, but we want to set the first one, the top one first. So otherwise it's a little hard to work underneath it. So what you do is you get a piece of tape like this, and I'll send you some tape. And what you want to do, the reason you use tape is so you don't mark up your walls. You find out where you want the end of that shelf at the height and the end of it, where the location is going to be. You put a piece of tape right there. All right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a little mark on there and say this right here is the end of the top of my shelf. Okay? Now, we'll measure over 8 inches from that point. Okay? And we put another piece of tape up there at the 8-inch mark. I don't want to mark up the walls. All right, see where it's 8 inches there? Start there, and then we'll pull that piece of tape down as vertical as we can make it. About 8 inches down or so. We got some room to work with. Okay, so now this is the edge of our shelf. This is where our bracket's going to be. And what we do, you take your little level, okay? You come across here until you get that level point there, okay? And then you mark your tape at that point, right there. So here's the height of your shelf, right across there. Now what we want to do is take your level in a vertical position, okay? Get in a vertical position and make that a nice straight line coming down, and the dogs are knocking my tools all over the place here. Okay. Let's see, we got a nice vertical line coming down. Then what we're going to do is measure down that vertical line 4 inches, about 4 inches, you know, whatever you get there. All right. And what we have here is our first opening. And then what we do, you're going to find in your little package, you'll find screws like this. These are deck screws. Okay, they're kind of handy. We use them for everything right here. Go exactly to that point. If you can see the point here, right to the point where we made our little line. Now I'm using the big boy drill here. You can do this with your little driver. Charge it first. Now see, I just went in kind of far, and I can tell right now that there's no stud behind there. All right, and we'll talk about studs in a little bit. Then you back it back out again, and you take the little guide that we made for you. You see the guide? There's A and B sides. A is the side you start with because it's got a bigger hole. You see that? There's B and here's A. We're starting with A. We put our screw through A. Okay, we go back to our old hole. And we don't tighten him up. We just get him in there so he hangs in there. All right. Now what we do is you get your helper to raise this up, the guide up, with your level until you're horizontal level. You see that okay? All right, we're just about level there. And then you take your other screw and go into B. All right, now you take your level off. You see what we got? We've got a nice level line across there. Now, you take the guide down. Now, if your driver doesn't work on these things, you can use a Phillips head screwdriver. You don't have to go buy a drill. All right. Now what we have here is two holes, two little tiny holes. And we'll take the tape off of here because we don't need it anymore. And look at that. Well, it's painted. This is not painted, so there's a view. So you've got two holes there. Got our A hole and our B hole. Okay? Never mind. Never mind. Right.
How old am I?
Now, remember what I said before about studs. If you hit a stud on either of these holes, and you'll know that because it'll start to bind on you a bit. Drill it all the way in. Okay? Only if you hit a stud, drill that all the way in. Now, we didn't hit a stud here, so what we're going to do, pull this out, and again, I gave you a drill bit that'll fit in your little driver. See, here's a drill bit. It's a 5/16 drill bit. And it's got a little 1/4 inch fitting there to go into your driver. And you're going to drill a hole right there, right through the drywall. Okay. Now, if the stud was there, you just hit the screw. You don't have to worry about this. But this is if you don't have a stud. Okay.
So now the hole is bigger than the nail hole.
That's right.
Tom, the tool man Taylor.
Yeah, really. Okay. What you're going to get also in your little package, you're going to see these little inserts. They look like little butterflies with screws. Okay, number 10 screws. What you're going to do with these is you take this and you fold the insert like this, so it goes into this hole, our little screw hole. Now, that's a nice snug fit, and you want it to be. So what you want to do is hit it with a shoe or a hammer or something, just to get it so it's snugged up there. There, see, we got it nice and flush there. Now we take the number 10 screw, put that into the hole. I lost my bit somewhere. Lyle, I'm going to put you in orbit. Go on. All right. Now this is where you got to be careful. You want to draw that all the way up. All the way up. But you don't want to over tighten it, just so it goes flush to the, because what it's doing is it's opening that insert. As you running that screw in there, it opens that insert back up, so you have a nice fit behind it there. Now here comes the interesting part. When you install the brackets. If you look at the brackets, the top of them have a white stripe. What that is a double-sided tape. And now you want to take that off. Up to this point, don't take the back of the tape off. It's hard to get off too. You have to give like a little razor blade or something, because it sticks really bad. The idea for that is so your shelf doesn't slide back and forth. The back of the bracket has this little keyhole fastener on it. What you're going to do, and the trick here is to only give yourself enough screw sticking out to attach the bracket snugly. Now what you might want to do here, the trick that I use sometimes is take a piece of paper or something back there so you don't mark your wall. But I did varnish the back of these things so it wouldn't mark your wall. And it's just a little trial and error. Take it out a little farther. And you'll know when it finally locks up, which it hasn't done yet. Let me get my fat head up in there. Yeah, see, it's still on. Yeah, it's a little loose. I'll tighten it up a little bit. So you have to work with these things until you finally get to the point where it fits up nice on there. There it is. And see, it's still a little bit loose, but you want to work it. You want to work it so that when you finally get it on there, it's nice and snug. And keyholes will drive you crazy, but they're the best thing to use on something like this.
As you know from Pottery Barn shelves.
There you go. That's a little bit better, but we still want it even more snug than that if we can get it. But I don't want to waste up all my film time. This cameraman's cost me a lot of money here.
I know,
Okay,
because
then
he's got director the whiff.
Then you go to the other side, and you do the same thing, unless you have a stud. If you have a stud, you just put the screw in there. All right. Put this up here. I think you have a rubber hammer, but if you don't, you can use your shoe to dunk this in. Okay. Take it out of the bracket.
So you had no luck hitting a stud, right?
There we are. See that? Now, the
There we
brackets
go.
are up there. You want to get them as snug as you can get them. It's worthwhile to take the time to do that. These aren't as snug as I like to have them.
Let me stand back and show her what it looks like now.
But the dogs are getting into my tools, and I have to.
Okay, there we go. That's
Now the shelves in themselves are heavy. Okay, so you don't want to put a lot of stuff on them. You choose whichever side you want to look up or down. Okay. It's made from an old twisted piece of wood. Now you get it up here. We find our original mark up against there, and you'll have that double-sided tape is there, and that'll hold this in place. All right. Now also, when you set it down, because of the double-sided tape, set it like this, because I'm telling you, that stuff, once it sticks, it sticks. One more thing, in case you find that you have some wobble, because these things were severely twisted and it was hard to get the twist out without losing the patina. If you need to shim something, you shouldn't, but if you do need to shim something, I'll send you some little shims that I made up here. I'll stain these for you first, and you can shim them like this. Just stick them in, break it off, cut it off with the scissors, however it's going to work for you. But I'll have these in there in case you need them. You probably won't. You know, once you set stuff up here, you should be okay. Any questions? Nope. Okay. That's how you hang your shelves. Do the top one first, then do the bottom one. End of class.